All right, everybody, I think we're back again. Try this one more time. Doesn't seem like Wirecast worked out, so you're going to have to kind of deal with the Google Hangout for right now. Um, but anyway, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm getting a little feedback, not feedback, but I'm hearing you echo. I think that's because Greg is next to you. But Greg, can you hear us okay now?
I can hear perfect, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I just had a plug-in failure on my end. Boy, this is really going good. But everybody in the chat room, let us know that you can hear us so we know we are okay. And then we'll get the show back on the path here. Sorry for all the headaches. Not sure what happened with Wirecast, but we had an issue. So give us a thumbs up if you guys can hear us.
I'm hoping this should have fixed
Not getting anything yet. Let's see if they can hear us.
If I would unmute my mic, I could say this fixed it.
Right. Let's see what they say. Yeah, Phoenix. Yep. Okay, he can hear us. Then we are back. We are good to go finally. So, Greg, before we got interrupted, and for those who joined us a little bit later, guys, thanks for hanging in there. Unfortunately, we had to go back to Google, but that's the way it is. We don't know what happened. Wirecast worked in the test, and then it failed live. But today's show, we're going to talk about the whole FDA regulation, and Greg is here to make sure that Mike and I don't look stupid, and we get it right. So, Greg, why don't we just jump into it like you were there and talk to everybody about what the regulations that they're looking to put into place and what are in place, how it's going to affect all of us.
Okay. Did you need me to go back through any of the history, or we just want to start right in?
Yeah, no, go ahead, because I think we missed it, if you don't mind. I know you're on a tight time schedule, and we appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, no problem. As most of you guys know, in 2009, the FDA was given authority to regulate tobacco in the U.S., primarily cigarettes and chewing tobacco. It was the congressional intent that they needed to pass some type of legislation or give the authority to the FDA to prevent kids from having access to these products. A lot of convenience stores and stuff, gas stations would sell this stuff out on the open shelves, and kids could just walk in, and obviously they had access to it and could either illegally buy it or illegally take it. So with that act, all the tobacco products had to be put away so that customers would come in and ask for it. Since then, the authority, or the FDA, has hinted through the Federal Register that they wanted to expand their authority. Once a bureaucracy has its hands into something, it wants to take as much as it can to justify its existence. So through the federal authority, they have hinted that they wanted to regulate more tobacco products, including cigars. Kids were getting to the mass market type cigars, if you will, the ones with filters and tips. And they really never distinguished between premium cigars and mass market cigars. So we were very proactive. We went to the 112th Congress, and we had a bill introduced to exempt premium cigars. We had 233 congressmen sign on. We had a majority of the U.S. House, and we had, I think, 14 senators. This was last Congress. On that bill, we had, I think it was 12 medical professionals, 7 doctors. They realized that there was a distinction between these products and premium cigars, the way they're consumed, the health effects or risks by smoking cigarettes compared to premium cigars. We all know that there's a difference there. And I think that even Congress realized that there was a difference between those products. Now I'll bring you up to date. April 25th, the FDA came out with its deeming rule. The deeming rule simply means that they now have proposed that they want to regulate these types of products. In that deeming rule, it's a 241-page document. They set forth how they want to regulate e-cigarettes, primarily e-cigarettes, because that market has exploded over the last few years. But they also, in those regs, have two options. Option one would regulate all tobacco the same across the board, no matter what it is. Option two, they wrote in to allow a distinction from premium cigars from other products. So currently we are now, after the deeming rule is out, there is a 75-day comment period. During that period, retailers, consumers, manufacturers of all these different types of products can now weigh in and comment on how this will affect their business, why this particular rule may not apply to them or shouldn't apply to them. And it'll go to the FDA. They'll take all this public comment and they will weigh it, and they will come out with their finalized rule. That finalized rule goes then back to the OMB. OMB will then scrub it, make sure everything is proper, and then that rule becomes law. So that's where we sit right now. Currently, we made a request as an industry, as a premium cigar industry, to have an extension put onto that 75-day comment period. The FDA had 4 years to look at this stuff, and now they want us to respond in 75 days. It's ridiculous. So all the associations have, we met in Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago to form a strategy to answer all those different points that are in that 241-page document. So right now that is what we are doing. We have paid professionals, attorneys, lobbyists. We have FDA specialists on our payroll, so to speak, and they are now formulating a strategy collectively to go ahead and try and tackle some of the issues that are in this rule. So with that, if you guys have some questions, I'm sure you do.
Right. Actually, we had one in the chat room already. Now, if you weren't here earlier, we had to switch back to Google Hangout because Wirecast is having problems for some reason. I don't know why. This is the document right here. So if you want to read it in your leisure time, you know, hey. But John G. had a question here, and he said about the review that the cigar manufacturers have to go through the FDA that they're asking about. And he said, how long is the review?
Good question. What that means is that right now when a manufacturer, a cigarette manufacturer, for example, Philip Morris wants to come out with a new product, they have to take that product, they have to explain in great detail all the ingredients that go into that, the process at which that product is manufactured. They submit that along with very large fees to the FDA. The FDA will take a look at those and they will approve it. There are probably products that are still 5 years that those had already been submitted and still have not been approved. The FDA does not move very quickly on that. However, those products are allowed to be brought to market during that application period, so to speak. How it would affect us, people like Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds, that if it costs $1 million to bring a new product to market, it's nothing. But when you're talking about a Rocky Patel, Alito Gomez, Nick Perdomo, some of these smaller boutique type cigar manufacturers, that's a pretty heavy weight to carry. So that's how restrictive that proposed rule in there, or that proposed point in the rule, would affect new products coming to market. And we all know how exciting it is every year during the IPCPR show when all these new products are brought out, and people get a chance to see and taste and smell these new products. All that could be affected with that particular rule, that particular point.
So let me just jump in here. So it kind of, John has another question. It kind of, I think what you just touched on here with like IPCPR. When you go there, most people say, hey, this is what we're going to be coming out with. Here's a sample. Try it. Now, John says that he believes that when the manufacturers, they won't be able they won't be allowed if this is passed to hand out samples
Right.
anymore, right? So this will affect bloggers, this will affect retailers, this will affect everybody. Am I correct on that one?
That's correct. That's a completely different point. That's the sampling point that we're going to actually, is one of our points that we're trying to strategize right now on. There would be no more sampling. As you know, with cigarettes, you can't go into, let's say, a Hess gas station or Rutter's, I'm not sure, Wawa, I'm not sure, whatever part of the country you're from, but a convenience store, and you cannot sample a cigarette before you try it. Whereas you could come to my shop where we would have an event with, let's say, Ashton Cigars, when they come out with a new line of, or a line extension of La Roma de Cuba, and they want people to put it in their hand and try it. That would now become illegal. You would not be allowed to do that.
Right. So to me, I mean, it sounds to me on that aspect that the government's wants to tell you that it's going to hurt the manufacturer. They're telling you, this is another marketing avenue for cigar manufacturers. This whole Twitter, the whole blogosphere, the whole Facebook. This is another avenue to get their cigars out before they come out. Get some feedback from people who smoke their cigars. Mm-hmm. And now the government wants to say, listen, no, that's not fair. You can't do that anymore. You can't, no more samples. When your cigar comes out, that's when it comes out. So they're telling you now how you can market.
Correct.
Basically, you got to follow their guidelines. This is how you're going to market. You are not going to be able to do this anymore. So in turn, they're really putting, like you said, on these smaller boutique blends, they're really going to hinder their productivity as well as their sales, if you really look at it. I mean, I know as a blogger, when we get samples and we have good following, people like to hear what we have to say, right or wrong, but they listen.
Right.
And now these guys are going to say, well, all right, we're coming out 6 months from now with this, but that's it. They can't say anything else. They got to wait. When it comes out, they got to hope that, it's a good cigar and people are going to try it. And it's going to hurt you guys as the B&M because you're not going to be able to have these events anymore.
Correct.
Where you can have the manufacturers come in. Now they're hurting the manufacturers, they're hurting the B&M, and they're hurting the cigar smoker.
Exactly. Yeah. Across the board.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, I look at it as it goes back to this whole differentiate between cigars and cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And as cigar smokers, we all know it's not apples and apples. I mean, you're talking something different. So you're penalizing the whole for the way of the few, and it's just not right. It's hogwash. Let's touch a little bit more, if we can, on the whole sample thing. What is the actual? There's no samples at all.
No sampling at all.
Nothing. No tasting.
That would be an option one. Yeah,
that would be an option one.
Yes, that would be full regulation, just like you're a cigarette. So there would be no sampling. Now, under option two, if we were to exempt premium cigars, we would be able to continue to do those things. However, Mitch Zeller, the head of the FDA, said that this is a foundational document and it is subject to change. A bureaucracy such as the FDA, does not have to get congressional approval on anything they do. If they were to come out tomorrow and said everybody has to smoke cigarettes, or you'll be fine. I mean, I'm being ludicrous, obviously, but they don't have to have congressional approval on anything they say. They can just do what they want to do.
Yeah, which to me is, I mean, come on, you're giving one organization the power to determine for everybody, and no one, the FDA, what they say is going to go, right? There's no one else who's going to say, wait a minute, we really need to look at this. We're not hurting a few people. We're hurting a country. We're hurting people that livelihood depends on this cigar. And you're not just, like I said, you're not just talking about a B&M, a manufacturer. You're talking about the people rolling these cigars, the people working in the fields. You're hurting,
farmers.
Yeah, you're hurting so many families over this law. And I don't personally think it's right that one organization has the right to determine yay or nay. There's got to be, we have laws in this country. People oversee. I have a boss that oversees me, and then there's a boss that oversees him. There's regulation. There's a guideline we have to follow, and I don't think that's right. Now, if we can, Greg, let's touch on base on the Mike and I were talking about it earlier. This $10 cigar thing that's in there. Can you discuss that a little more for us?
Yeah. We had a teleconference call with Mitch Zeller after the deeming rule came out, and one of the questions that the IPCPR posed during that teleconference was, where did this $10 magical $10 per cigar qualify it as a premium cigar? Where did that definition come from? And I think probably us as an industry have a little bit there to take a little bit of the blame. The IPCPR, the CAA, CRA, when we were down in Congress lobbying, we would regularly say kids are not out there buying $10 cigars. So we think that they actually grabbed onto that verbiage and threw that in as the definition of a premium cigar. So that's where that comes from. Now it's up to us to dispute it, to refute that. I think Mitch Zeller said they did a market study, and that was the average. That's not the average price of a premium cigar. $10 and above, to put it into perspective, that's about 12% of the premium cigar market. So that should be a point that we should be able to tackle, and I think get that thrown out if we can get option 2.
Now, I wanted to say too, I'm not a genius sitting here or anything else. I don't know all the laws and how everything is worked out. You might hear a little echo because Greg is on his laptop right next to me almost. So
maybe I could mute my mic. Hold on.
No, you're good. But it is what I don't understand is with the cigars themselves. I mean, instead of classifying things with dollar amounts or anything else, why not just classify something as being full tobacco leaf, hand rolled, and be done with it? I mean, if you want to put a size limit on it so that you can't have the little cigarellos or something like that anymore, okay, whatever, be an idiot. But, as long as it's a handmade product with tobacco leaf, with no additives, nothing in it, why do we need a dollar amount? That's what I don't understand.
Right, and as a brick and mortar guy, as a retailer, being on the board of directors of the IPCPR, we're looking for guidance from our manufacturers, our partners in the manufacturing side. We are letting them come up with the definition that we would like to see, and we're going to support whatever that definition is. The problem with stating it as simply as you did there, Mike, which was quite eloquent, I might add, it excludes a lot of things, a lot of products out there that you may not really realize, like Drew Estate that have some flavor profiles. They would fit that description, but they have a flavoring component to it. Products that are made in the J.C. Newman factory in Tampa, 100% tobacco, 100% whole leaf tobacco wrapper. However, that wrapper is applied by a machine, so they would be excluded. So it's a very delicate and difficult proposition to put this definition for, because some people are going to be inevitably be hurt by that definition. Some of our good friends. So.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I did a general, simple.
Right.
Definition, and that's how I think. When I look at this, and see this from the government, it's just like, really. I mean, I know all bases have to be covered and things like that, and I'm sure exceptions could be made. Like with Drew Estate, I think one of the problems with that is that everybody is going to have to reveal how they actually do everything, in order to get through this process, and that's going to be a kind of a sticking point, I think, also. But yeah, I oversimplify everything. I do that. Hey, makes it easy for me to understand.
Yeah. So, our ultimate goal would be to have an exemption for premium cigars, and it's up to us to educate. From an IPCPR standpoint, to educate our retail members how to respond to that document you just held up. We are currently working on that. We have a rough draft Friday, or yesterday actually. So hopefully by Monday or Tuesday we'll start mobilizing the forces from the retail side. CRA is obviously going to tackle it from a consumer viewpoint, and the manufacturers from the CAA standpoint, so, and CRA standpoint. So it's going to be a full, attack moving forward, a full strategy, between all our industry partners. So.
Now let's talk. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I
No,
wanted
that's
to
all right.
just talk.
We can go. I was just sitting here thinking. I'm reading it. I have it on my tablet. Mike sent it to me at 241, and I highlighted some things, and it just. I know this started a while ago, but I see in there a lot. This whole e-cigarette thing keeps popping up in there. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that had a lot to do with it recently? Because I know I've seen them in the mall. I've seen people walking, and people, we're cigar smokers. People look at us when we're smoking a cigar. Let's be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are seeing it. And I think a lot of people are going, wait, what? These things can't be healthy or something, right? And I don't know anything about an e-cigarette, and I'm not claiming I do. Mm-hmm. But to me, after I'm scrolling through this document, I just scrolled through 20 pages, and I'll bet you in 20 pages, I saw e-cigarette at least 50 times.
Yeah.
Do you think that had something to push this even farther? Because there's really no legislation or no fines or studies behind this whole e-cigarette movement?
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of put a light on the full category, the full tobacco. They see, I mean, the market is absolutely exploding. And most of that document is geared towards the e-cigarettes. You're absolutely right, just that little bit that you saw. I think we are mentioned in there, I think maybe 160 sometimes approximately, but it is predominantly geared towards the e-cigarette market because there is no foundational information. It's a very new, in fact, in 2007 when, or was 2008, I guess, when Congress gave the FDA that authority, e-cigarettes were kind of a new thing on the market. So here we are 7 years later and it's exploded. So yeah, I'm sure there was some, that kind of put a target on everything.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and again, I'm not putting the blame on cigarette companies at all because, like you said, we've been fighting this for a while now. Yeah. So it's not that. But I think the push even more now, as I read that document, it's just crazy how many times they're mentioned in there, and it's just, going on and going on and going on about that. And I understand, like you said, the whole keeping it out of the youth hands. I have some teenage kids, and I don't want my teenage kid. I don't want them smoking my premium cigars. You know what I mean? I get it. I understand that. But to me, the more I look at this document, especially when it comes to the flavored cigars, it's like you said, he's walking into a little store. I'm not going to name names, but a little tiny franchise store that sells coffee, beer, soda, and behind the counter they have, the grape apes and the peach cobblers. That's what I think, that
right.
I don't think they're looking at the whole scope of who they're really hurting because, like you said, Jonathan Drew, Tatiana, there's a whole bunch of them out there that have premium tobacco in them, and they're going to affect a lot of people. I wonder, Greg, would the new fire cured tobacco, would that fall in there because it is enhanced with a flavor, I guess?
It could
be. Would that fall in there?
It could be.
Wow, just crazy. That's just the more you sit here and think about who it's really going to hurt, it's really sad that you're going to hurt millions of people. That's truly what you're going to hurt, millions, not thousands.
And to put it into perspective, to explain a little bit more about our industry, when you talk about cigar units sold in the U.S., you're talking about 14 billion cigar units sold every year in the U.S. The premium cigar part of that is 275 million. That's less than 2%. I mean, it is such a small number. However, There are we estimate anywhere from 85 to 88,000 jobs related to the premium cigar industry in the U.S. That's your Connecticut farmers that are growing the Connecticut shade wrapper, your brick and mortar stores. That I think the average brick and mortar store employs about 6 people. All the manufacturers are based in, most of them are based in Florida, so you have that component. You have people that make the cellophane, the boxes, the wrappers, or not the cigar wrap. Well, the wrap, yeah, in Connecticut, but the bands. So there's about 88,000 U.S. jobs in the U.S. that could be affected by this rule. Now you go into Central America, you're talking about another 500,000 jobs. Some of these countries, Honduras, Nicaragua, it is a huge part of their economy that employs people. What are they going to do with all those people? Have these people thought the amount of financial or foreign aid that we're going to have to provide to help hold these countries up once the premium cigar industry fails?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think they have.
Yeah, you're hurting economies. You're not just hurting individuals. You're hurting the whole economy over there, Nicaragua, Dominican. These countries that rely on this tobacco growth. You're hurting countries. You're not hurting just individuals.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct.
It's a huge segment of these countries' economy, this agricultural aspect. Another point, what are these people going to grow once tobacco's gone? Guess what's coming? They're going to have to find a way to make a living. They're going to grow drugs. So there's another aspect that's going to affect us negatively. So I mean, it's just ludicrous to think that that one agency would have that kind of power over a whole industry like that. Not many lives.
Yeah,
So.
they could bankrupt entire countries with this.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. Now I want to switch gears a little bit. I wanted to ask, when we were talking earlier, with the samples and everything, there's also something about not being able to have a humidor. Where I guess you could have a humidor, but people can't walk in. They would actually have to ask somebody at the counter for the cigar that they want, and they would have to get it for them, just like with cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. When you walk into any purveyor that sells smokeless tobacco right now, chewing tobacco, cigarettes, you don't have physical access to that product. You have to ask someone to get it for you. That would now be applied to the premium cigar industry if option 1 were to be the finalized rule. And it just goes against the complete business model of just about every brick and mortar store, not just about every brick and mortar store. I mean, it's an experience when you walk into my shop. When you come in there and you walk back and you walk into that humidor, and you're first hit with that aroma of all that tobacco, that aged tobacco and stuff like that. It's an experience that's gone. I mean, you wouldn't expect somebody to walk into a fruit and vegetable stand and not see that produce and just tell the guy, I want oranges, and it's up to that guy to go back and get the product that you want. So it makes no sense whatsoever to impose that kind of, and again, it all goes back to the congressional intent was to keep access to tobacco to use limited. Well, you can't even walk in my front door unless you're 18 years old. You already are limited. There are no kids in here. They have no access. So that rule it's completely bogus.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, Greg, about we're talking. You can't go in the humidor. The guy behind the counter will pick out your cigar, and then, like we said, just when you go to a grocery store or a little mart, the guy, you say, I want a pack of Marlboros, I want a pack of Newport. He grabs them from behind and hands them to you. Have you heard anything? I'm just curious. What is the take? And I know it's not going to affect these big companies like Marlboro and Newport as it would, the small boutique guys today. Even the big guys it's going to affect in the cigar industry, not just the little guys. But it's not going to affect the Marlboro companies that are new, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just using them as an example. But they can afford, for this to happen, because if option 1 goes through, they're already abiding by that, right?
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Exactly. So to them, they got nothing to really lose per se in this. So have you heard anything? Are they saying anything? Are they just back going, we're following this already. Let the other cigar guys worry about it.
You said it perfectly there. Can you imagine which option they want?
Yeah, they want option one.
Bingo. It's just market share for the big guys.
Exactly.
Do all that stuff. They're already regulated. So
Unbelievable. I'll tell you, the more I think, the more I sit here and learn, because I'm still learning a lot about this, and there's like you said, there's so much in that document that you have to read. It just sounds to me again like it's one agency who, in my personal opinion, this is no opinion of anybody else on the show, a lot of these people are probably some way funded by these big guys, and they're just sitting back going, hey, we're following the rules. I don't understand what the problem is. Oh, well, little, Johnny Cigar is going to have to deal with it. Why can't he follow the same rules as us? But you're not talking the same product. You're talking a cigarette package that's packaged by a machine, consistently coming down. They're packaged the same way forever. Where every cigar, when somebody comes out with a new cigar, it's different. There's a different component, a different way of doing it, a different tobacco leaf. There's a lot more things going on with that than there is with that. And to me, it just sounds like, I think the big six cigarette guys got their hands in this somewhere, somehow. It just doesn't sound, it doesn't sound right.
Well, it was definitely an issue for us when we were lobbying D.C., when we were lobbying Congress. They obviously opposed this. Big Tobacco opposed this at every turn, because the point that you made earlier. I mean, it just gives them more market share. They want to capture and keep that market share. So, the more people that are regulated, the more money that gets put into enforcing this. So it kind of brings down their liability a little bit, their financial liability. So of course they're going to be for that. So it's up to us to educate. Hopefully there's some reasonable minds over there at the FDA that realize that this product is not consumed in the same way. It does not have the same health ramifications that other tobacco products. It does not have the, Mitch Zeller continually says this, and it drives me nuts, that it still has the same addictive qualities and principles as any other tobacco product. It doesn't. I smoke on average 4 to 5 cigars a day. I happen to be Catholic. We just came through Lent. I gave it up for Lent. It was no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal that I wanted to sit down and enjoy one with my friends and stuff like that, but physically, I did not need that product. It's not consumed the same way. The nicotine is not delivered the same way. There's a study out that we used when we were lobbying Congress, and we don't want to really use this health component as an argument. It just happens to be a little kind of sidebar, if you will. Monograph 9 was a huge study that the government did. They compiled data from the American Cancer, Lung, and Heart Associations about tobacco use and the different health effects from using those products. And the one thing that came out of this is that the premium cigars had no recordable health effects compared to a non-smoker. In fact, and I hate saying this one, but it's the truth, the mortality rate of a premium cigar smoker who smokes 1 to 2 premium cigars a week was 2 years longer than a non-smoker. Now, is it because of the premium cigars? No, I don't think so. Nobody would argue that. It could be that the demographic of the typical premium cigar smoker, their health care may be a little bit better. They tend to take care of themselves. It could be a lot of other factors. But if you're going to use that as an argument, you have to have good scientific data to back that, and they don't. Monograph 9 clearly points that out. So.
Yeah, no, it's funny you said, I just listened to what you said, and I had a physical in January, and I've been going to the same doctor pretty much my whole adult life. So the same question they always ask, do you drink, do you smoke? And when I say smoke, I say, I smoke cigars. He goes, no, I didn't ask you that. I said, well, you asked me if I smoke. He goes, No, that doesn't matter. I mean, this is a doctor with a degree who's been a doctor forever, and he's even. And I came home and told my wife, and she's like, "Well, it's still not the best thing for you." I said, "I agree, but my doctor's telling me, hey, listen, I don't even care about that." So it's like it goes back to what you said. It's I cannot smoke a cigar for a month, and I'm not sitting here having a shake. But I guarantee you, if you smoke cigarettes, try to go a month and tell me how you act.
Right.
Ask your family how you're going to be.
Try to go a day. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going to flip out. You're going to go crazy because of all these additives that are added into this cigarette, to this tobacco, and the paper. I mean, you're smoking paper. I mean, you're smoking. We can go on and on. But, Mike, you want to take? Phoenix Jackson's got a question. You want to take that one?
Yeah, Phoenix Smoke is a question here, and it's interesting. Do you know, Greg, are any government officials that are from the affected countries, like Central America, Dominican Republic, Mexico, there's, heck, even over in Africa, with Cameroon, are any of those officials participating in the lobbying and political process in all these regulations that they're trying to enforce right now?
That's a great question, and simple answer, absolutely. We've been in touch with the embassies of Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Honduras. I'm not sure if any of the African countries, Cameroon, where some of the wrapper and stuff are grown, if they're involved. I'm certain that they are aware, but absolutely, that they are all involved.
Yeah, that was a great question. I was curious about that also, just because some countries look at it, well, it's an American problem, but like you said earlier, it's going to snowball. It's going to affect all those countries.
Well, there's I think it's CAFTA, which is a Central American Free Trade Agreement. I mean, even if this rule were to go down, you're talking about years and years of lawsuits. We signed a agreement with the Central American countries that we would not restrict any free trade. Well, I don't know. I would think that this is a perfect definition of restricting free trade. So there is that angle also.
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100%. And real quick, guys, if you go over to CRA, Cigar Rights of America, they have, I believe, a petition or something going on over there. You can sign, voice your opinion. I suggest that everybody who's listening to this or listens to it later on a broadcast goes over to CRA, sign that. If you believe in this and you're a cigar smoker, whether you believe in it or not, honestly, I mean, go over there and support these people who are depending on this for a livelihood. And go over there and show this. This is a freedom issue. What's that?
I said this is a freedom issue.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, whether you agree with it, you smoke or not, it truly is a freedom issue. And for one agency, the FDA, to have the authority to make that decision, it's totally against our freedoms as Americans. That's all I'm going to say. Simple as that. No one agency should have that right to make that decision. So go over there and make sure you sign that petition and let everybody know. And if any congressman or congresswoman in New York State's listening to this, stand behind us and support us. Don't support this. This is absolutely wrong and totally against our rights as Americans. So stand up and do something.
I agree. Pennsylvania, too.
Since you guys mentioned the congressional component, I will say that we do have a bill currently introduced in the U.S. House and Senate. We have, again, huge bipartisan support. Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, who I may not particularly see eye to eye with on every political topic, but he agrees with us here and is in support and says that we should not be regulated like other tobacco products. So he's made a call on our behalf, and we have Tea Party guys that are signed on to here to the extreme far left. So we do have that avenue if it is very erroneous and option one does come to fruition. We will still pursue that avenue to have Congress physically take their authority away. So
that's the way it should be. We'll get millions and millions of people together and start smoking in front of it the day they're gonna decide what they're gonna do. We'll all stand outside and smoke cigars.
Before we go any further, I just wanted to say Greg's been kind enough to be here with us, and it's over our allotted time, and I know he had to go. If you have to go, Greg, you can go at any time. That's you're not
Well, I
affected.
appreciate that. But if there are any questions out there from your viewers, you know, if I can't really get into too much detail on our strategy yet because we're still trying to refine some of the finer points. We're trying to get total industry coalition here. And so I can't really divulge too much of the actual detail. But Mike, you made a suggestion to go over to the CRA website. That's a good resource. I would also suggest the IPCPR website will also have that. So we need everybody that can hear this, see this, to go there, use those resources, and please make a comment on how this is going to affect you, how it's going to affect your businesses if you're a retailer. So, you know, definitely make sure that you do that.
Now, I wanted to touch on something too, just with the this $10 price point thing. And I might be going out on a limb here or whatever, but I can see this acting almost like with the medical coverage, where medical coverage, in my opinion, has gotten worse, has gotten more expensive. And if they regulate cigars and say that a $10 price point is for a premium cigar to be considered, any cigar that's under $10, to be able to get rid of some of those guidelines, all of a sudden they're going to be $10 and more. So it's almost going to raise the prices overnight if something like this would happen. At least I think so.
Yeah. Well, I that's one of the points I put up. There were some people that were suggesting that maybe that $10 definition was a good thing for brick and mortar people. I don't see that. Can you imagine the guy, the manufacturer out there that has the $9.25 cigar right now? Is he going to stay there and suffer all those consequences of being a regulated product? I don't think so. I think he's going to jack his price up over $10. I mean, we have a huge market of people that come in and buy the bundled premium cigars that are in the $2-3 range. I mean, that's a huge segment of our business. So, yeah, the $10 component was something that they just, I think, grabbed out of the air. And that's something that we're definitely going to, I don't think there's anybody really that thinks that they want that. So.
Yeah, it's like you said. I think there was something that was mentioned a while ago, and they just latched onto it. And said, "Well, it'd be one of those things." They say, "Hey, well, you guys mentioned this $10 thing. We did."
Well, we said that every time we were down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't blame us for the $10
Yeah.
thing. You guys mentioned that $10 thing. I agree with you 100%. Real quick, let's just jump off of this just for 1 second, real quick. I just want to. Dave said in there that. He said for Greg to plug his Hex cigar.
Dave. Oh, Dave. Okay.
Yeah, presto. He's in the chat.
Yeah, he wants you to plug it. So plug it.
The Hex cigar. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a cigar that 42 retailers got together, and we decided to come out with a few lines that were just for retailers. We make them. We kind of put the profile together, flavor profiles that we were looking for, and our first release was the Affinity, the Casabella, and the Hex. The Hex is our fuller bodied version, Nicaraguan cigar. It's a fantastic cigar. It's got very complex flavor profile, some spiciness, a little coffee in the middle there. Get to the end, the spices start to build again, the flavor builds. So it's been a great addition to the store, and it's a cigar that I pretty much I'll have one of those a day pretty much. So it's a good one. And we got our flagship brand is actually should be in the store Monday. It's called Sindicato, and that's. That should be out there, and that's going to be a Nicaraguan Puro, probably in the profile range or profile flavor of like a Padron Anniversario. So
nice.
Well, very nice. Now let's swing this too. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead, bud.
I wanted to swing it a little bit now with you talking about your retailers getting together making the cigar or the cigars. How badly would these regulations hurt a smaller organization like you?
Right. Well, we would be subject to all the same regulations that General Noltatis and Rocky and Ashton and any other Fuente, any other manufacturer would. Could we absorb that cost? I don't know. It all depends where it falls. I just from the top of my head, I don't think we could survive. But
Wow. There you're hearing it right from a guy who's honest and owns a brick and mortar and is telling who's fighting a fight, telling he doesn't think he could survive if this goes through. So that really just goes to show people it's really affecting more people than I think this little group here that we realize. And but real quick, Greg, I want to say thanks. I know we kept you longer than we were supposed to, and we apologize for that. But
yeah, no problem.
I want to thank you for, Greg's been nice enough to support our show, is allowing us to, from now on, broadcast live from his place. So we want to personally, the two of us, we want to thank you so much because it means a lot to us to have people appreciate what we do and willing to help us as we help the whole cause for everybody, just not on this topic, but as an industry as a whole. So it means a lot to us. So I want to thank you personally myself as one of the partners on the show for joining us. We appreciate it.
You guys are a very important segment of our business now. On a regular basis, I get people that come in and they'll say, Greg, have you had this cigar yet? And I'm like, I never even heard of it. And they're like, yeah, well, they were talking about it on Stogie Review or this site, that site. And you guys are in some ways the front line. You're getting these products and you're talking about them. You're educating your listeners, and it's actually been good. I think we make a good industry partner.
We appreciate it again. And like we said, it's gonna hopefully that we tested. Hopefully we'll be back on Wirecast because that was the whole issue. We wanted to get back on Wirecast. I don't know what happened. It worked this morning and then it failed. But Greg, before we let you go and before we end the show, because we started late but we are over the hour, is there anything that we might have missed? Again, 241 pages is a lot of stuff in there. Is there anything that we missed that you want the viewers or anybody who watches the show later to take with them before we let you go?
Yeah, again, and I'll reiterate, I think you guys, anybody that hears this and has a concern, go to the IPCPR, CRA websites and just make a comment, respond, and continue to respond. The good thing about this is they have to, by law, read every comment that comes in. So let's flood them. Let's make them read for the next 8 years. And then maybe we can delay this long enough that we get a new administration in there that's friendly enough to bump these guys out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Make sure when you comment on there, I know we all take things passionately. I know personally myself, sometimes the words come out that I don't want to come out, but make it professional. Send it professionally so, they're not sitting there and just reading it and going, okay, this is just some young loudmouth idiot talking gibberish. Let them really know that you're passionate about this issue and that you really care. And you're a working man. You work hard. You support your family, and you support a hobby that you enjoy and that you find relaxing. So make sure when you do, reply, make it professional and but make it to your point. Make sure you get your point across as well. So
yeah, you can customize your own comments. We will probably have templates in there that'll have a few different introductions, and we'll have some body content and some closings that you can actually cut and paste and use those to send your comment in. But just remember, you said that perfectly. Just be respectful. We don't want to agitate. We don't want to poke the bee's nest any more than we have to.
Yeah, especially when there seems to be one queen bee controlling the whole thing.
That's right.
Yeah, you want to be a little careful. But, but well, anything else you got, Mike? I mean, I think we really covered this really good. I think Greg, it was awesome to have you on because I really think you helped both myself and Mike really understand it a lot better, and hopefully everybody in the chat room will understand it better. But I really thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to educate us.
And in a couple weeks, when we have a finalized strategy, I can maybe go into some more details for you guys if you want to have me back. So glad to do it anytime.
That sounds great. I mean, anything that can help, with the cigar industry as a whole, and it's affecting consumers because the manufacturers aren't going to be able to absorb all the cost of all these regulations. They're going to have to pass it on, and it all comes down to the consumer in the end. So hopefully people take notice and come out and let them know.
Yeah. One little funny side note I wanted to, if you got another minute, another second, I have people that come in the shop sometimes and they'll say, well, tax the big companies, tax the big corporations, they can afford it. And I said, who do you think pays for that tax? They're not paying for it. You are. The consumer's paying for it. So, yeah.
That's just like the minimum wage thing. I keep telling people, it's like, I think it's great if you raise the minimum wage, give people a better living wage, but who do you think is going to end up paying for that? All the products are going to go up in price, so it's going to negate any raise in the minimum wage anyway.
Yeah. That's right, 100%. Alrighty, well, folks, that's pretty much it. We've come to the end. We don't have any more questions in the chat room. They've been a little silent. But I think that's it. We're going to wrap up the show. We apologize for starting late, and hopefully the next show when we're live from Greg's place, we will be on Wirecast. So real quick, Greg, why don't you go ahead and plug your facility so everybody knows where Stogie411,
sure.
The official home of Stogie411 now.
The name of the stores are the Tobacco Company. Our flagship store is here in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, right across the river from the Capitol. And we also have a store in Hershey, Pennsylvania, right on Chocolate Avenue.
There you go. So make sure if you're in the area, you stop by, say hi to Greg, and stop by and support him. And if the hippie's there every other Saturday, stop by and say hi to him and promote him getting a haircut. And
I did get a haircut.
Yeah, that's called a trim. That's not a haircut. You went from Brett Michaels to Steve Perry. That's not a haircut. So, but anyway, so Greg, thanks for taking the time to hang out with us.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, I just want to quickly say we were hoping to have Dion from Illusion Cigars back on a letter date. I'm not sure yet. I haven't heard back from him, but I think overall it ended up being a great show today. And we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. You got anything you want to end it with there, Hippie?
Nope. I just hopefully we'll be back on Wirecast, and we honestly do not know what happened. Everything was working, and Greg came in, and there it went.
It blew up.
I think Greg is the new Michael Herclox.
Yeah. Every time we have Michael Herclox on the show, something happens. It just doesn't work.
So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. We'll be in touch with everybody in 2 weeks. Enjoy your weekend. And remember, Mom's Day is Sunday. Make sure you tell her you love her. Make sure you take care of your wife and show her how special it is. It's sad we got to wait one day, but make sure you go and say love your mom, love your wife. It's the most important people. So happy Mother's Day.
See you guys.